Hello everybody, it's Julia here from the Highly Sensitive Tarot. I'm here today with my monthly video of what have I been doing, what have I been up to. And this is for the month of January 2024. And I've been up to quite a few things, but nothing really too much depth, I suppose. I've been lacking energy, lacking motivation. Towards the end of January, I got quite poorly with my fibromyalgia and had to spend quite a lot of time in bed actually. I got really quite fatigued and had a lot of pain moving around, and for about a week I was really feeling quite unwell. But I've been sort of allowing myself to rest and been taking lots of vitamins and trying to take care of myself, and I seem to have perked up a bit, so that is good. I still haven't moved house. I'm still waiting, which is I'm sorry, I think my phone is see if I can tighten that up. My tripod seems to oh dear. My tripod is slipping. Yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, I still haven't moved house, which is frustrating, but also at the same time, I think because I wasn't very well and it was so bloody cold here, I was quite relieved that it didn't happen, and I think to move in the springtime would be much nicer, wouldn't it? So I'm okay about it. There's no point being otherwise, is there really? It's not going to change it. So yeah, I've got quite a lot to show you today. What do I want to talk about first? Yeah, I think what I'll start with actually is in my journal I wrote down some genealogy. My mum and dad just recently had their genealogy tested. They sent off a blood test or a saliva, I think a cheek swab type thing, and these are the results. And you know, this is just absolutely fascinating to me because my mum is very Anglo-Saxon looking, I suppose. She's got hazel eyes, brown hair, or she used to have brown hair. You know, she's very English looking, I suppose. I don't know whether that's right or not, but in my head, yeah. My dad, on the other hand, has always had black hair. He's got very dark brown eyes. He always tanned really easily, and he's always looked quite Mediterranean, and we always thought that, you know, my dad would be the more exotic one out of the two of them. But these are the results, and isn't it fascinating? My dad is 3/4 English, 20% Balkans, and a little bit of Irish, Scottish, Welsh. But my mum, she's got 37.9 Scandinavian, which is Sweden, Denmark and Norway. She's got 21% North and West European, which I looked up is Denmark, Finland, Ireland, Norway, the UK, Austria, France, Germany. She's got 16% Balkan, which is Albania, Bosnia, Bulgaria, Croatia, Romania, Serbia, Slovenia, etc. 13% Greek and South Italian, which is Cyprus, and it also said southern Russia and Mezzogiorno, I don't know how to pronounce that, and 10% Iberian, which is Spain, Portugal, Gibraltar, France and Andorra. So I just have found that, I thought I'd just share that with everybody. I just think that's so fascinating. You've all seen what I look like, so I'm a real mongrel. I thought in my colouring I took after my mum a bit more than my dad. I'm not quite as dark as my dad, but what a fascinating mix of yeah, just how fascinating is all of that? you know, Greek and South Italian, you know, 23, near 24%. My mum, Greek, South Italian and Iberian, and you would not have thought these things at all. I can see some of the Scandinavian and North and West European and perhaps Balkan as well, but yeah, I just thought that would be fascinating. I've been quite interested in, you know, ancestry, and I have a cousin who has an account with ancestry.com, and they've been looking into our family history. So it was just really interesting to see all of this. So anyway, I just thought I'd share that because I was just so fascinated. And I wonder in the UK whether there are any of you that have had your ancestry tested, and what yours was made up of. I have the feeling that us in the UK, most of us are mongrels really in one way or another. So yeah, there's that. What else did I want to show you? In January, I worked out my word of the year, my cards of the year. I decided to go with strength as it was number 8, and I did a full moon ritual in January, or I think it was the end of December actually, and I drew some cards. And interestingly enough, when I drew death and the Hanged Man to go with strength, so there's quite deep energy there. But interestingly enough, when I worked my number of the year out, you know, with your birth date and things, it came to number 12 anyway, so which is the Hanged Man, isn't it? So I think when those cards want to make themselves known, they do, don't they, one way or another. I also did a year ahead reading for myself. Just drew one card for each month of the year, just as a theme really, just to see what happens, and I will reflect upon those cards every month. And interestingly, for February I drew the Death card, transformation and change. So I'm really hoping that that might mean my house move, because March is the Knight of Wands. So yeah, I'm really hopeful that that might, well, in fact, I had February Death, and May is Strength. So already that's 2 of the cards that I drew in my full moon ritual. So that will be really interesting actually to see how things progress through the month. What else was there? I've got quite a lot of decks to show you, the ones I've been working with this month and what I plan to work with. I say what I've been, it's February now already, so what I have been working with and what I've now started to work with. I also wanted to show you a couple of books. A lot of my books are still in boxes, and I wanted a couple of books because I've been getting back more into my sort of witchy ways, I suppose. I've always practiced witchcraft and considered myself a witch. You know, since my 20s, I was part of a coven for a very short time in my 20s, but it didn't work for me at all. I needed to be a solitary practitioner. And I've always kind of followed, I'm not a Wiccan, but I've always followed the witches, I've always followed the Wheel of the Year and the Sabbats, and I've always, to one degree or another, tried to practice little rituals and things at different times of the year. So I was just looking around for books, and I found this one, which I just absolutely love, The Witch's Yearbook by Claire Gogarty. I think it's quite a new book. Was there a, I thought I had seen a copyright in here somewhere, but maybe not. But you know, it's just a lovely book. It takes you through the year, looking at the Sabbats. You know, helps you to work with the 4 elements. It has all kinds of Like we've got Samhain here. It talks about your Samhain altar, scrying, how to make a black mirror, divination, scrying, plant remedies and spells, traditions and customs, crystals, apple dunking, jack-o'-lanterns, spells, spell jars. Yeah, so it goes through the Wheel of the Year, and I used that for Imbog that we've just gone through. So I am loving this book, actually. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I had seen a copyright. It was 2021, so it's a relatively new book. And I also bought this one secondhand off eBay. I just fancied it. I love working with candles. I always have a lot of candles around, and I've always anointed them and carved words into them and used them in my practice. But I just wanted to show you this because this is a fantastic little book. It's by Raymond Buckland. Is this an old book? It's a Llewellyn book, actually. So this was first 1970, and it's been republished several times. But can I find it in here? This was obviously owned by somebody else, and I have cleansed it. I've passed it through a lot of smoke, and I've spoken to it and asked the book to align itself to me, because somebody has been using the candle spells in this book for no good, really. Oh, where is it? There is writing in this book, and it's not mine. Here we go. This spell here, to bring pressure to bear on an enemy. As you can see, somebody's written in this book here, and somebody wanted to bring trouble to somebody called Kate. And look, you can see they've really personalized this whole ritual, this whole spell. Yeah, this really is to try and bring misery into somebody's life, really. It's not a very nice spell at all. And as I flick through more, I discovered why. Let's see if I can find it. Here we are. To break up a love affair. Here is the male half of the pair, Rick, and here is the female half of the pair, Kate. And this is a spell to break up Kate and Will. And it, you know, they've changed all the wording here and everything. So I just think that's so fascinating, isn't it? So somebody has been trying to cause trouble for Kate and Will. That made me wonder whether that was Kate and William, you know, the prince, and Princess Kate. That's strange, isn't it? So yeah, I thought I'd just show you those. But I'm not going to be doing the enemy spell or breaking up affairs or anything, but for good health and wellness and well-being and peace of mind and such like, I may well be using this book. What else do I want to show you? On Spotify, I've been listening to, let's see if I can get Spotify up on my phone. I've been listening to an audio book, which I have to say is the nicest book I've listened to in a long time. I've listened to a few recently because my concentration is appalling, and I find these days that even I will either reread a page several times over and not take it in, or I'll just fall asleep. So it's not been good, really. So I've been listening to a lot more audiobooks, and this is the one that I'm listening to at the moment. I hope you can see that there. It's called Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. And I'm almost finished, to be honest. It's by Heather Fawcett, and it's just, oh, it's just such a nice story. It's Emily Wilde is the main character in the story, and she travels to Norway to document the fae that live there. And she is compiling an encyclopedia of fairies. And when she's there, she meets this fae prince, and it's just all about the things that she learns about herself and the people that live in this village in Norway, and this fae prince, and all these other things. And it's a sort of, it's a brewing romance, I suppose, but there's a lot of good humour in it, and it's written in a really quite old-fashioned and quite flowery language. But I really, really enjoy it. I would suspect that Emily Wilde perhaps has autism or some kind of neurodivergent issue similar to myself. Some of the ways that she reacts to people and things is me. So I've really enjoyed it. I can't recommend that enough, to be honest. Down to decks. So for the month of January, I was going to work with my fae decks, or my fairy decks, and I'd got 5. I've got Brian Froude's, I've got Doreen Virtue's Oracle, the Forhaxa, Radley Valentine's Fairy Tarot cards, and Karen Kay Oracle of the Fairies. And I discovered from working with these through the month of January that the Forhaxa and the Brian Froude's deck work beautifully together. I did a little video showing the pairing of those together, and they did work beautifully together. Doreen Virtue's deck worked really well actually with the Forhaxa also. It's a nice deck. And as I suspected, I didn't really enjoy working with the fairy tarot cards because, well, I mean, I'm sure you're all familiar with many of these decks, but these have got keywords on them, and I just don't enjoy that, really. I find that it's not helpful to my intuition. It makes me lazy in my reading. I just didn't enjoy reading with them. And the reason why I'm looking at several decks at a time in a month, because I'm going to continue to do that throughout the year, is because I'm trying to work out what I really want to keep and what I'm going to rehome. And although I didn't get on with this, for some reason I feel sentimental about it, and I'm not going to rehome it. It's going to stay in my collection, but you know, maybe I might come back to that, or it will have a purpose at some point. The one that is going to get rehomed is Karen Kay's Oracle of the Fairies. It just does nothing for me. It's got quite a nice little guidebook, and actually I like the back of the cards more than I like the fronts. But this art style, it does nothing for me. It really doesn't. I like a bit of gritty reality, I suppose. I mean, if we looked, for instance, you know, at Brian Froude's, and then we look at this one, they're very different. They have a very, very different vibe, very different energy, and I just feel that this one is not for me, really. It didn't resonate at all, so I am going to rehome that one. That's going to go in my pile. I feel too unsettled at the moment to be listing things on Vinted or eBay to sell them. But they're going to go, it's going to go in a pile, and this will be rehomed at some point. So yeah, like I said, I did really enjoy working with all these. The Doreen Virtue little fairy deck is gorgeous, actually. And although it doesn't have that sort of darker or more gritty sort of feel that Brian Froude's does, I don't know, I've always had a thing for Doreen Virtue's old decks. I've owned many of them and rehomed them and then bought them again over the years, and I just find them really simple and practical, and they often have really good advice, and yeah, I really like this deck. So I shall definitely be keeping that one. And you've seen, like I said, if you want to look more in detail at the Forhaxa and Brian Froude's, I've got a video showing the pairing of those two together. So you're welcome to go and have a look at that. What else? I don't think there was anything else really to say about what I've been doing. Like I said, I've been looking at a lot of decks, but I haven't been doing any real serious work with them. I certainly haven't been doing any shadow work. I did a lot of shadow work last October and November, and I'm not really feeling it at the moment. I'm starting to feel spring-like and like I want to learn things and study things and play with my cards more, I think. It's a bit more of a lighter energy than it was last year. But what I plan to work with for February are these decks here. I've got I've got the book out of that still, haven't I? I've got 2 tarot decks and 3 oracle decks, and these are all fairly new purchases, other than one of them actually, which I have had a long time. The Serpent and the Peacock is certainly a new addition to my collection. I'd been eyeing several indie decks last year for quite a while, and just after Christmas, Libra Moon had a sale, and this was discounted, so that kind of made up for the tax and shipping and everything, and I didn't feel so bad about buying it, and I am so pleased with it. It's this number 542 out of 750. It's a beautiful deck. I absolutely love it. This is the art edition. It's got several additional cards. I've never really been into these more sort of historical type decks, but I really do appreciate this one. The guidebook is amazing, and just the colour palette of this deck really appeals to me. And I'm quite fascinated with it, to be honest. I've just been sat looking at it a lot because I'm really interested in cryptozoology. So, you know, creatures, things that are made up of different things. And there's a lot of them in this deck. I remember seeing in old historical texts and things these weird creatures with faces in their stomachs, and you know, we're quite used to seeing creatures like this, aren't we, that are made up of 2 or 3 different animals. You know, we've got kind of dragony creatures in here, lots of devils. You know, these people with faces in their bodies. Really fascinating, actually. Look, there's another one with the King of Wands. I just really, really like this deck. I like the art style, the colour palette. I love the book. I love the additional cards that you get with it. I love everything about it. So yeah, I will be looking at this deck. I haven't got any real major plans for it for February, except just to get to know it, really, just to read this lovely guidebook, which really is quite practical, actually. I love that it tells you where the art comes from. I think, yeah, it tells you what the picture is, what the date is. And like I said, it's quite a practical guidebook, actually. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting to know that deck. And I also finally bought Cat Black's Golden Tarot as well. This is a mass market deck that, again, I've been eyeing for some time, but just wasn't sure if it was my cup of tea or not. But again, it is beautiful. I've just been playing with it, really. All my cards, to be honest, just recently I've been playing with. I haven't done any serious kinds of readings since I did my January year ahead spread. Well, no, that's not true, actually. I did an in bulk reading a few days ago for myself as well. But I really do like this. It's very relatable. It's very intuitive. I like the artwork. It's interesting. And again, I think this will be a deck for me to study, to be honest. And that's kind of the mood that I'm in at the moment, is I'm not really interested in shadow work, because I've always used my cards very much for sort of self-transformational processes, you know, for growth and understanding, a psychological use of cards rather than a predictive way of reading my cards. But I'm quite enjoying the studying of decks recently. I may continue to carry on with this. I have been using this a little bit over the in bulk season. This is the first of these decks that I've bought, the Seasons of the Witch, and I'm quite impressed with it, actually, I have to say. I've still got one of the cards on my altar at the moment. It's a really nice deck, and it's got a lot of really nice practical exercises and things in there, so I think it will pair pretty well, you know, the colour palette with maybe the Golden Tarot, so I may continue to use that. This one I bought recently, and this was after seeing it on Nova's channel again. I think the Serpent and the Peacock and the Golden Tarot I was inspired to buy after watching Nova with her deck. So but this will go fantastically with the Serpent and Peacock, I think. And it's a really good deck. I put this in my 5 Oracle deck challenge that I put out a few days ago. I had it in there as one of the sort of the decks that are sort of underrepresented, that you don't see too often. This is a fantastic deck. You really, the guidebook is really very good for it. You get a lot of information. You get to learn all about the tree that is in the picture. You get the symbolism of the card. There's some divination, and there's a charm or a ritual or a spell for each one of these cards. Like for patience, there is a willow weaving spell, and the tree for patience is the willow. So that's right up my street, to be honest, and I think it will pair beautifully with the Serpent and Peacock, and maybe the Golden Tarot as well. And then the last deck, and I've had this quite a while. I've got 3 of these reading cards. They're by Rockpool, and I think they may all be by Inner Segal as well, however you pronounce that. I've got the True Love reading cards and an astrology reading cards as well, and they're all really good deck's really affordable, really relatable. Fantastic decks for shadow work, I would say. And this will pair beautifully with the Golden Tarot, won't it? I may well through the month do a little video just to show some of these pairings. I didn't want to do it all today, but like develop stronger concentration. Let's have a look. So you get a big paragraph about the card, and then there's an action with all of these cards. There's a task, there's something to do to help you work on these issues and manifest these things for yourself. So for this one, it talks about how your attention, this is a good card for me, isn't it? I was just saying, I'm struggling to concentrate and read books. Acute concentration enables you to think in a cohesive, harmonious way. By learning to deepen your concentration, you will be able to delve into a more profound understanding of life, make better decisions, and effectively work with life-changing healing and spiritual processes. Correct concentration removes nervousness and fear and helps you to focus your attention on what enriches and enlivens you. And I know that very much. And I think that's why I often struggle to concentrate, is because I have high levels of anxiety or agitation at times. But the action for this is to go for a 15-minute walk. Be present and observe everything you see. Focus on even the smallest details. Try to recall what you saw with as much description as possible. Do concentration exercises throughout the day. Become aware of people you work with. Really look at what they're wearing, what they're saying, how they talk, walk. Then close your eyes and recall what you noticed. In particular, remember people's names and what they shared with you. So they're really good, practical little bits of advice there, aren't they? So I really like this deck, and it will be nice that I've got a deck that it will work well with, because I really do think it's going to go well with Cat Black's deck. So yeah, I think that's about it really. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else that I want to say. I'm really enjoying doing joining in with Masha's the major arcana, the top trumps tag. We're now about to do the High Priestess, so I'm really enjoying that. That will take us through the year. And I think every month throughout the year I'm going to have several decks just to work with. I'm not really feeling in a big shadow worky place at the moment. I think March and April I'm going to look at my witchy and botanical and nature-based decks. I've got a lot of decks of trees and flowers and things like that, so I think that's coming. But I think these are good decks to work with in February. So if you have any of these decks, I'd love to hear how you get on with them. Please do say hello. I just like for you to say hello anyway. That's what I'm here for, is the engagement and to share things. So please do say hello, and I will see you all again soon.